Previously on 채널 젊은 달.
Sitting outside their houses going, I want my movie.
Start writing. Wrote 300 pages of stuff.
I read probably a lot more than I should have.
Going back and watching Rebecca again.
Spent a lot of time talk about research.
And watching all those things again and looking for clues.
How the hell am I going to make this movie?
I never want to go back. Fuck that. I want to keep finding new things that are exciting to me.
What do good filmmakers have?
Just a persistence of vision. I think they all have kept their attitudes, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like any of them are lazy.
채널 젊은 달.
I found that I couldn't write in the chaos of Boogie Nights coming out. I mean, I just couldn't. I think I just wanted to make another movie right away because I was scared about expectations. And I thought I could cut them off at the pass if I just went right away and made another one. So anyway, I wrote for 8 months. And the reality is that the majority of the writing really happened in the last 2 weeks. I went to Bill Macy's cabin in Vermont for a week, which is the middle of fucking nowhere, and there was a snake outside the cabin. So, and this is true, I was really scared to leave. So it really kept me in the cabin for 1 week, and I wrote, I just wrote. And I mean, it was really like ironing. Writing is like, if you're ironing a shirt, you go a little bit and then you go a little bit more, you know, over the same section again, but down a little bit more and then down a little bit more. And that's kind of what it was like. And in those 2 weeks, it was just like.
안녕하세요, 젊은 달입니다. 이번 편은 감독님의 집필 과정을 더 중점으로 다루면서 동시에 연출, 촬영, 배우에 관련된 감독님의 철학을 엿볼 수 있는 시간을 마련해 보았습니다. 거장이 말하는 시나리오 PTA 바로 함께 보시죠.
How as a filmmaker do you make sure you're staying sharp? Is it watching other movies? Is it surrounding yourself with creative people?
It is practicing, writing every day. I write every day. I try to at least.
Write and write and write and write and write. It's been an okay day, but it's not as good a day. At the very least, if I'd had 15 minutes this morning to write, I would probably feel just more fucking together.
Writing is too much fun. It's too wonderful and it's too solitary, and I enjoy that time so much that I need it, you know, because when you go to make the movie, that's a group experience, you know, and so you need the alone time.
이런 감독님은 집필 과정에 있어 이야기의 방향성을 정하는 것은 작가도 플롯도 아닌 캐릭터라고 말하는데요.
I mean, I never feel like I know how to construct the story.
I try as hard as I can to not do the writing, to let the character do the writing. The goal should be, for me, to create these people and or help in their creation and or sort of get them talking to each other and get to the point where you're not in charge of them, they're in charge of you, and you're just sort of servicing whatever their needs are. And what I mean by that is that for a long time you'll be imposing your own will or maybe your own ideas on something that you'd love to do. Perhaps you think, I'd love to do a car chase, you know, so you can create some cockamamie story, you know, to get this character into a car chase, but inevitably, hopefully, the character will just sort of like talk back at you and say, I don't want to be in this car chase. I never would have made a choice to begin with that would have gotten me into this car chase. So hopefully you're getting into a state of kind of auto-hypnosis where the characters are kind of making choices and things are happening to them that can eventually formulate a story.
이런 자기 체면 상태에 이르기 위해서는 사전에 자료 조사가 매우 중요하다고 말합니다.
Good writing is stealing and finding little things that people had written or said.
I'm going to write now, you know, when really you're going down and locking the door to your room to research.
The writing would change as the research grew.
You know, this film has very particular things that it's based on, so getting to know that as best as I could is time well spent. Probably time better spent than actually typing.
감독님은 특정 주제를 의식하면서 글을 쓰는 것을 매우 싫어한다고 하는데요.
This film trying to make any kind of statement as far as oil companies dictating American policy worldwide?
No. Goodness, no. I don't know how you drew those connections.
Connections to today, you know, that's a kind of a big one to bite off, which isn't, I never really try to do that. If I've ever had a theme in mind, I mean, usually that's just like the worst. Then, you know, you feel yourself writing, and there's nothing worse than that feeling of kind of chasing after a theme. I mean, that's always like writing at its worst for me.
그럼 집필 과정을 거치고 난 후에 감독님의 각본 수정 및 현장에서의 대처를 한번 들어보시겠습니다.
location scouting starts informing everything. Location scouting, locations. That imaginary situation that you had in your mind when somebody's yelling at each other from across the room suddenly becomes something that's right here. So rewriting happens during scouting, I think. I don't do traditional rehearsals in any way. We do like sitting down in one go that's hopefully as long as the story will be and reading through the script quickly. Not the stage direction, but just the dialogue.
Do you find problems there with some speeches don't work or some,
Yes.
dynamics are not working? And just in that straight read through?
Yes. Too many words. Usually it's too many words. Rarely is it not enough words. Usually it feels like too much writing, cutting things out and connecting pieces together. Some things you visualize in your mind and you just can't help it and you write them down. But what I try to do is go to the set and try to kind of like pretend like you've never had an idea in your life about it. I completely fire the writer when we get to the set. But it's scary at first. It's a little bit terrifying, even as much as I would look forward to working with Daniel and would trust Daniel, But that becomes his. Now he's got his job, and now we're in it together. Now you have a partner in crime. At its best, that's what it is. Screenwriting is not real writing. It's not. You're not writing a book, I mean, you're writing the basic. The situation, where they are and what they're doing should really say everything, And
I think that my first job is to be a really good writer to the actors, to not describe it in the script. You see so much description of what the character's supposed to be feeling and stuff, and it's just a big mistake. It has to be done through dialogue and what they do.
What I know that what actors don't want is they don't want to have a lot of chit-chat or dialogue or like endless conversations when on the set or while you're trying to do something. That's really just the job, is just being an audience and making sure they don't stray and watching.
Keeping them focused or not focused, but what?
Well, it's just being a collaborator. You're both after the same thing. We keep, we take the work seriously, but we don't take ourselves seriously.
There was one where Paul was very sweet about it, but in the first week, I didn't want to see any dailies. I sometimes I do, and this I just didn't want to, and that was that. But after a couple of days of work, Paul said, I think you should see something. So I went to see something with him, and the scene that we reshot, in fact, we kind of found a different way to do it, and it was a blessing. But I saw the scene. Is that what it is? Is that what it's going to be? That's not going to work. That's just not going to. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't it felt like one was radically off course.
I had him look at what we had done because we all needed to collect ourselves after a week or whatever it had been to say, it's not exactly what it should be. I'm not quite sure how to say exactly what it should be, so I have no good direction.
Wait, you said that to him?
Yeah, that was the
Mm-hmm.
understanding of what was going on.
You didn't have to say it.
And from my perspective, I'm looking at it thinking, well, the scene's not really written exactly right, so for starters, that needs to help. 9 times out of 10, when you're having a problem with a scene, it's because of the writing. It's collaborating with an actor whose only goal is a great story and a great movie, not how many lines he's going to have.
You create an atmosphere of openness and vulnerability and friendship, all of that.
Yeah.
That makes what happens on camera easy.
Well, I hope so. Because I think that I'm so in awe of what they do, and acting is such a hard job. I mean, it's really, really hard. And I'm a really big fan. First and foremost, I'm just a fan who's kind of excited to watch them be great, and I think that they're just, that they appreciate that from me. Casting and writing are kind of the same thing to me, because I write parts for actors that are my friends, or actors that I don't know that I really want to work with, like Julianne Moore is someone whose work I just loved. If the actors ever talked to me about what was going on, there was some instinctual thing that had me completely give over to whatever they thought, In other words, they were the people that were saying it. So I just wanted to make them comfortable saying it, They trust you. They feel they could do something completely insane and make a fool of themselves, and it'll either work or it won't, and if it doesn't work, it won't be in the movie, and we can all have a laugh about it, but there should always be the feeling that you can experiment. It's trust and comfort.
they have this conversation, and we shot Reese, and we shot Joaquin, and it was a big nightmare because the sun is moving around here, and you're trying to sort of light it, and you kind of go through this whole rigmarole, and it was very unsatisfying, and you feel like, okay, something's still nagging at me, and it's lunchtime, what do we do? And then there was a park bench right there, and it was like, well, why don't we go sit at that park bench and set up some dolly track and let you guys do this, and it's just that. And it was fun again. It was like they could act together, they could be in the same space, there wasn't a bunch of lights and stuff in their way, and it was like one of those great, great moments where you just kind of get lucky because you got sick of yourself, or luckily they were game to do it again, but it was really embarrassing to kind of go through that.
The pressure's on, at a certain point it's a very difficult position to be in. The more people that are around or following you, the harder it becomes to say, I don't know what's going on, let's keep discovering, let's keep that journey going.
We should redo both of the boys. Yeah.
For the two shot, we can.
Two shots fine. Two shots fine. I'm sorry. So it's a recreation of what we did yesterday, everybody. I really screwed up yesterday and missed a little beat, so we gotta get it again.
Let's pull that down.
You're the one who say like, just come on everybody, wake up. Just at 6 a.m. we've got to get that shot as the sun comes up. And I still feel exactly the same way. Like I'm the one rallying everybody.
Leading the charge.
And you have that thing, but that doesn't make the insecurity go away at all. You're just faking it.
Always.
You just fake, bluff.
Yeah. But the more confident you get with experience, you can kind of own that a little better.
Yeah.
It's like when you're just starting out, you can't say, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
But you can say that now, and people go, oh, that's cool, we're going to find something. Because they just assume something good's going to come out of that. Isn't it great to get to that level?
Yes. On the other hand, yes, and the danger of that is when nothing good comes out, and you're like, I got nothing today. There's like one bad idea after another. When I first would show up on the set, I was the youngest person on the set, so everything was so meticulously planned. I just thought, there's no way through this unless everything is pinpoint accurate. And you get looser, and yes, you get more confident, and you get a little bit looser, and that certainly has its benefits.
And the compromises are good, the sun's going down, and you have to get this scene, and well, it's not exactly how you thought it was going to be. Well, you know what? Fuck it. It's usually better. It's always better, honestly, when something interrupts whatever preconceived thing you have about what it should be. When the day kind of attacks you and the sun's going down and it forces you into something. Those are the best times that we've had making films, and the best scenes that we've had are usually based on that. Like when I was younger, I used to love, you'd be so self-satisfied with something that you write. Now, the self-satisfaction comes from the joy of a great cut, some great red circle through something and a slash, and two things get smashed together. Yeah. It's the greatest feeling. It's just a high, discovering something that you never thought could smash together like that.
Could you offer any advice to someone who is young, bright-eyed, and earnestly trying to get right in there?
The one thing I remember thinking initially when I was trying to make films, and you always felt like you got nervous that somebody else was right who was talking to you, who maybe was in a position of power, like that their opinion somehow was right or better than yours, and somehow you could never stop to think no, it's just different. You just think differently than I do, and that's okay, but I'm not wrong. You can get filled with such fear, and it's really easy to just get your heart broken and kind of sort of beaten. It's a miracle anytime any one of them gets made, It's a miracle. It's a miracle every time a scene kind of gets done and through the birth canal and done. I mean, it's never any less of a miracle or any less difficult. There just should be no fear. Just always remember kind of being pummeled by fear early on and feeling like, God, if I could have just gotten rid of that fear earlier, this might have been a little bit easier. Just don't give a fuck. That's kind of the best thing to do.
안녕하세요, 젊은 달입니다. 현재 저는 다음 영상으로 두 가지를 기획하고 있는데요. 하나는 각본가 출신 감독님들 인터뷰 모음집으로 마틴 맥도나, 셀린 시아마, 아론 솔킨 정도를 생각해두고 있습니다. 다른 하나는 스티븐 스필버그 감독님으로 감독님의 1년에 2편씩 개봉하시던 미친 시기를 자세히 다루고자 합니다. 영상 업로드가 매번 시간이 많이 걸려서 정말 죄송합니다. 대신은 아니지만 젊은 달 인스타 계정에 정기적으로 감독님들 인터뷰 기사를 부분적으로 가져와 번역하고 있고, 최근에는 일상툰도 소소하게나마 연재하고 있으니까요. 아무쪼록 많은 관심 부탁드립니다.